Hello, this is for Computer Science 2. Today I'm going to be going over the blackjack project. I've recorded this like 20 times. I've been trying to get like a good recording and explaining the code. Anyway, so I have the code. So in my constructor, I have an array list of the card class that's dealer's hand and the player's hand, and this will just store what's in the dealer's hand and what's in the player's hand. And then I also just renamed the lowercase debit cards to deck just to make it easier. I type everything. Anyway, so I add a card to the player's hand, and then I add a card to the dealer's hand. I do it twice, so that way both players have cards. And then I start the game with the play method, and I start on the turn of the player. The first thing that it does in the method is it checks whether someone busted on the turn, depending on whose turn it is. In this case, it would start on player, but if it was the dealer's turn, it'll also check if the dealer busted. And so on whoever's turn, if they're equal to player, so if it's the player's turn and that means that the player would bust, then that means that the dealers win. But if not, that means that the players would win. And then it's the same logic here just for winning. The next thing, if both conditions aren't met, then it'll go to the next if statement that means it's the player's turn, and it'll ask the player to hit or stand. And so if the player hits, then it'll add a card to the player's hand, and then it'll replay the method again. And it'll recalculate the total for the player, and then with the extra card included. Anyway, I'll go down to the dealer. So this is where the dealer starts. And so we also need to be able to store the player's total as well. And so we just have that here. We store it in a player total. So next thing, we have a while loop here where it's if the dealer's total is less than 21 and the dealer's total is less than the player's, then the dealer will hit, and then it'll add a card to the dealer's hand. It'll recalculate the dealer's total, and then it'll print what the dealer has. And then if the dealer was over 21 and they busted, then I'll print dealer busted. And then if it's more than the player total, then dealer will win, and then else the player will win. So very simple. Now I'll go over the calculate hand. So this is my logic that calculates the value of a hand. So I initialize a total, and then I'll also go over the hand logic as well. So basically, this array list hand is equal to if it's on the player's turn, then it'll be the player's hand. But if it's not on the player's turn, then it'll use dealer's hand for this. And so I have a for loop that basically loops. And so it'll get the card at index I based on whoever's turn it is. And then if that card is equal to A, or if that card is equal to Jack, Queen, King, then it'll add plus equals 1 or plus equals 10 to like the total, right? And so then else, if it's any of the number values, then I use parse int to basically convert the string to an integer, and then I just return the total. And then for print hand, it's kind of the same logic in terms of using the hand. And then I have a for loop that basically just prints the values and then a space so it'd be like, 3 of hearts, whatever. And then after the loop ends and it prints all the cards in that player's turn or the dealer's turn, after it prints all the cards in that moment, then after that, it'll also print the total value at the bottom. And so the thing that I struggled with the most is probably figuring out how everything worked together. That definitely took the most time. But the logic makes sense. You're going to come to the answer eventually. So I didn't really have any problems with this. It was an interesting project. I thoroughly enjoyed it. And yeah. And also here is my the other thing that was required. So yeah, thank you very much.